What is love really? That's where we're getting started with the Valentine's bouquet. And if our bestie from the UK, psychotherapist Fern Lulham, can't help us answer this question, then we don't know who would. So Fern's here to kick things off. And Fern, maybe let's ask you, what makes you feel loved?
Oh, well, Ramya, you have just hit the nail on the head because giving me compliments and making me feel like I can actually contribute something to the
Wow.
show, that's
Absolutely. You are a valuable
amazing. Very,
presence.
very much so, making
Words
me
of
feel
affirmation,
loved.
that's what we call that, right?
That's
Yes.
what I live for. The ego needs it. Needs a bit of inflation. And
Samesies.
you're pumping me up. So thank you for that. I just want to say it smells glorious in here with this Valentine's bouquet, and I'm so
Aw.
thrilled to be here with you all. And yeah, what is love? What a way to begin, right? We're beginning with a bang, right? So
Mhm.
basically, love is different to everyone, isn't it? And I will throw this out to you in just a moment. So prepare yourselves to
All right.
tell me what you think love is, because it's a subjective thing. It's one of those things that in therapy people often throw out these ideas of I just want to be happy or I just want to be successful, and this is something we kind of talked about a little bit about before. What is that? What does that mean? I just want to be loved. What is love? Well, there is a very sort of vague definition because, as you can imagine, it's not something you can just summarize right in a sentence. But love, it seems, needs to be something that isn't just a fleeting emotion. That's what kind of differentiates it from like lust or, oh, this person's really exciting or this person makes me laugh. If we love someone, it's a long-term committed thing. It lasts more than just a moment. And often there's lots of different emotions that are involved with that, but there's care, respect, there's compassion, and one thing that I think we'll probably come back to is acceptance of imperfections. That's very important, and want for somebody's well-being. So basically the people that we love, we want them to do well, we accept that they're not always going to be perfect, they're going to make mistakes, and we just want to be there for them and look after them, keep them safe. So as I promised, now I'm going to throw this out to you. Whoever wants to go first is fine. What do you think love is?
I think Kelly's been making himself an outsider in this conversation, so let's start with you, Kelly.
Keeping quiet. Unlike Kelly.
I think a lot of it is to me, like you said, Fern, the long term, but acceptance is really important. But knowing how to make someone happy because you enjoy making them happy. I don't mean, oh, you're a paid stand-up comic, you go and get on stage and make people but knowing the little things, caring about those little things for the people in your world, family, your partner. It's all those things, that the little things that you pay attention to, and there's no effort to do so.
The little things matter. I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
The little things matter, and they make you feel loved. As you mentioned, Fern, I totally agree with you about feeling respected and cared for. That's what I feel love is.
But what does that look like? Or what does that feel like?
Listened to,
Yeah.
remembered. Maybe like,
Oh, I
and
love
when I
that,
say
yeah.
that, if somebody loves you, they know, they go up, your coffee's ready, all right? Whether it's your partner or a friend you go over and visit, it's important to them to remember. If you've had a friend for a long time or like a family, it's not that dismissive, I don't care. Your son remembers, hey, mom knows I like it the coffee this way. And it's not just from routine and doing it, it's because it means something to do it right, to please the person. Is that maybe?
Yeah.
And again, I understand there's different types. I understand we're talking different types of love here, not just romantic.
Yeah.
And that's true
but all
too.
kinds.
Yeah, exactly. And
Ramya,
I was
go
going to
on.
say, if you're talking about like influence from parents and family and all that, and just kind of things that were modeled to you, in my family, it's always any kind of act of kindness, or when you can take something off someone else's plate, that feels like love to me. I think that that's genuinely like growing up. If somebody did something before I got to it, or was able to say, okay, I'll do that so you don't have to, just whatever it is, and sometimes without even voicing it, if they were able to get a task done, or I don't know, do something without you having to ask them, that feels like love to me. And Kel, definitely the whole being remembered thing, because I remember when, if we said something in the house, like, oh, I'm craving something, or yeah, I really loved that Tim Hortons whatever coffee that I had 2 weeks ago, my dad would bring it for you, like he would bring it without having said it, or without you having asked him directly, and that always felt like love to us, and it also felt like being spoiled, but that's love. Spoil
and
me.
I think some people, especially with their kids, and we get into this kind of thing when we talk with Lucia about it, the spoiling people, like siblings will say, hey, they spoil you, you're so spoiled at home, mom and dad do this and that, but it's that want to by them to take care of their children, and we all get it, we all know that, and I feel that's where that understanding of making a difference just by simply even just being listened to. And for some people, it's more than others.
Sitting and
don't
having
care.
a conversation. Feels like
or
love
just that,
oh, you
remembered I said that. Not, oh, would you tell me that once again? Because really, when you told me the first 5 times, I didn't care.
Yes. Well, this is, I suppose another way to look at it is, what are the things that don't make you feel loved? And I imagine a lot of them would be the very opposite of what we've been saying, So like you said, Kelly, if someone's looking at their phone while they're talking to you and they're not really, they're only half paying attention, when they're going, and that means I have no idea what you're saying, right?
And dismissed.
And that's the physical act of what they're doing, but actually what they're doing is, like you said, not seeing you in that moment, not kind of understanding you and treating you like you matter. And I think that's the heart of it. We want connection, and we want this sense of belonging, and I think what that comes from is somebody affirming that we have worth to them, that we matter to them, and that we're important.
Yeah. And then what is, like, we've all kind of brought up stories or impacts of romance versus families, especially like parents and kids, but what is platonic love? Can we talk about what that is? I feel like this is a bit of a trendy word or concept nowadays.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I suppose here we're sort of talking about friendship, but I suppose we could also include colleagues, or, there's so many different types of relationships that you can have that might encompass love. You might feel like you love someone. And I mean, I'm interested to ask all of you, do you think you look for different things in terms of feeling loved or loving others differently in platonic love than you would maybe with your families?
Oh, for sure. Families are like a whole different ballgame compared to your friends, right? Or your romantic partner.
Elaborate, Rania, in what way?
Yeah, explain.
It's like how Nasreen earlier said, a cool mom and dad, like you say, love is, what'd you say? Like, love is something to be celebrated every day. So you don't need Valentine's Day, which is like, but don't bring that to me and my husband, because my husband better be giving me gifts on Valentine's Day.
Exactly.
You know what, Nasreen, I would be saying to in fact, anyone who's listening who has a partner that says Valentine's is every day, go up to them every day and demand a gift, because if every day is Valentine's Day, where's my present?
Exactly. And I tell my dad, I'm like, I don't see flowers and chocolate or whatever type of gift every day. And then he's like, yeah, but I love for her every day. And I'm like, I get whatever.
That's sweet.
Don't bring that over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But I find it so sweet, the surprises that I do find that sometimes, like, my dad would bring a flower like every couple of weeks to my mom as a surprise. And I just love that. That's what love is. It's just like, you don't have to ask for it. It's just given to you.
Yeah, you just
that's
see
another
it, and
way.
it's just done. And it's just what did they used to say? A token. Just a little token. Yeah. It's not
appreciation. Yeah.
But I used to find it interesting when you talk about people, kids especially, when people talk about their siblings, how close they are or whatever. But I think about going to a place like the blind school and how you're with these people all the time, and you defend some people because they may, they may be your friend or something going through a bad time. You see people go through a lot of things, which brings up almost like a sibling closeness, and some might say a love with certain people or what have you in that. And I think that's definitely, obviously, you're hanging out with your buddy, you become to care about if he falls down, hurts himself, but you don't love him. It's, in the same sense of a relationship, but you have that relationship that is there to care about. They mean something, and you generally care, and it's a sustained thing. You know, even if it's the 4 or 5 years, 10 years you're maybe in school, you go off to college, go different ways, things may change, they may not. You may keep in touch. But I think when you're in a residential school like at W. Ross, where I went, it's a bit different. But most people, I think, will say that they had people they were closer to than their own siblings, possibly.
Sure.
Maybe
sure.
cousins
I'm sure
that they're
that's
closer
true.
to. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of times the word friend, people feel like that's not enough to describe this person to me, because this, like you say, Kelly, actually, you know, family love and particularly, I suppose, romantic love is, you know, it's sort of prioritized often in lots of societies as like the ultimate. That's what we're all striving for the most.
Of course.
And yet our
different.
friends can sometimes be the most important people in our lives, and it just feels like
Absolutely.
such a throwaway term. And you know, a friend can be everything from somebody that you've met a couple of times that you go for coffee with to somebody who literally feels almost like your life partner, you know, not in a romantic way but in a platonic way, but is that important.
100%. The friends that you share history with and pasts with, where like you're not the same person you were 10 years ago, 20 years ago, but they know you and they've come through the rubble with you sometimes. Those friends can mean more to you than anybody that you meet today, or even your family who doesn't know these sides of you or who weren't there to pick up the same kinds of pieces, right? Like I have girlfriends that literally know me in ways that I only upon reflection I get to know myself, but they got to see those sides of me, which is just like, you know, it gives me chills to think about like the kind of closeness that you can share, bonds that you share with people over the years.
Yeah, and that's so beautiful. And that makes me wonder, Ramya, do you express that to them? Do you ever tell them how much they mean to you in that way?
Now more than before, Fern, because that's a fair question. Like sometimes when you're going through, I don't know, like we talk about when you're teenagers, you're rebellious, or, you know, your parents put up with the certain sides of you. That kind of thing I'd say was true for my friendships as well. Like there are years when I definitely know I did not appreciate the kinds of friends that I've had. And now I can say, wow, thanks for being here, you know, when I was like that. And friends do that with me as well. Like friends that you've known forever who now can appreciate differently than you did before, because as you get older and wiser and all that stuff. But
I think
you're
some
right.
people
Like
are uncomfortable to express as if if it's going to be taken the wrong way.
Yeah. But girlfriends, like, you know, close bonds and close girlfriends, and especially authentic friends that you've known for years, I think that there should come a time when you can openly talk about these kinds of things. If you've gone through it for so long, then you know it's worth it. It's worth it to have that kind of depth of conversation.
Well, yeah, and that's interesting. You know, you talk about girlfriends there. It's interesting how sometimes there is almost like a gender split here between, you know, what males and females are traditionally expected. I mean, how easy do you find it, Kelly, to express feelings of love to your friends, to your family, to anyone?
Well, my parents have always raised me very much to be very loving, very caring, obviously understanding what kind of love it is. Like, you know, this is not your partner, this is not your family members, but that you're not always going to have as much care or love for a family member because you're just not close. That hasn't been built or become innate in you. And then I know as a kid, I used to be very envious of my friends that talked a lot about their cousins or whomever in their life, you know, that they were close to. And I'm going to say that term as opposed to love. And even though now I know that they were talking about love for their friend, and that because I always felt, hey, or their family member, I always felt that my siblings and I, close enough, but not close enough. And people would say, well, you know, maybe you're because you're the baby of the family. No, we were just not that way. My dad used to say, I notice you guys seem to have closer bonds with your friends than with each other. And it used to kind of bother him.
Yeah. And sibling rivalry is a whole different ballgame.
Well, I think
Sibling
you get that
dynamics.
up, and later on you appreciate them differently. But then that's like also your pets and so on. When people say, you know, I love my dog and stuff, and some people who aren't kind of innate to that, it's like, what the
That's
heck
just
are you talking about?
unconditional. And I don't love anything or anybody as much as I love my dog.
Now
Like,
we've got onto the real stuff.
Yes, thank you. Thanks,
Yeah,
Karen.
like
You know how
loving a
it is.
sport or something.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Yeah,
the same.
when it comes to
Absolutely.
siblings, though, I agree. Me and my sister will bicker for a few minutes, and then we'll get back to talking normally, like nothing ever happened.
Yeah.
If we have a fight, we get back to talking. We don't even have to apologize to
That's
each
so
other. No.
good.
We'll
So
just
sweet.
get back to normal, and like, you know, we'll call each other names, and then the next minute we'll be like, okay, let's go out for coffee tomorrow.
Yep. We're done with that. Let's move on.
Yeah. You don't
I
have to
think
say
this is-
anything.
This is so interesting, though, because it brings up this subject of perceiving other people's relationships. Like you just brought that up, Kelly, about looking at other people and being like, oh man, I wish I had that. Is it that true, though? You know, are they that close? Are they that happy all the time? I think
True.
especially with romantic relationships, we're talking about Valentine's Day.
God, yeah.
How often do we see couples on Instagram looking lovey-dovey, like they have the most romantic love
my
life in the
God.
world? Are they arguing after they took that selfie? I'm not so
Right.
sure. I remember it's a bit skeptical about that.
Grass greener
I
over
hear
there.
lots of stories in therapy.
I'd put my
about
money
truth.
on it. I would definitely put my money on it. Fern, that's so nice. We got to wrap up the chat. So tell us something we can take away, you know, to keep our hearts all warm. And fuzzy.
Yes. Well, I'm just wondering, because we haven't mentioned self-love, so I just want to quickly bring that in, because I know, Nisreen, you mentioned that earlier, and it's one that people struggle with the most. So I'm wondering if we can just go round and each say one thing that we would like to promise ourselves to promote a bit more self-love in our lives. So I'll go first. I will say, I'd like to have a bit more faith in myself. I don't think I, believe in myself enough. Anyone else?
Yes.
That's a good one.
That's a good one, and I want to steal it from you because I feel like I feel the same way. I don't have enough faith in myself, and that really it brings down my confidence, and that needs to change.
I'd like to just take it easier. You know, a lot of the time I think we do things or present ourselves in ways just to make sure that others are satisfied with our image. But then you'd rather be doing something else or being somewhere else, or you want to cut down on this or do more of that. And I think for me, like, I just want to stop overthinking about those things and just be. So be a bit more present.
Yes.
I think for myself, a lot of it is recognize the things you do right. I know there's times in my life that I've like kind of just focused too much on what's the problem, what I'm not doing right, what I need to improve on, instead of saying, yeah, but hey man, you do this and then you do that. That's helpful. That's a positive thing. Remember when you never did that? Yeah, instead of beating yourself up constantly because in our society, well, I've got to be better. I've got to, recognize the things and add them up and say, hey man, I'm not doing so bad there. And move forward.
Beautiful.
This has been so therapeutic, Fern. Thank you.
That's what I hope for. And lots of love to you all. Have a wonderful Valentine's.
Thanks for tuning in to Kelly and Company. Follow us on all social media. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more.